¿Qué pasa? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another solo leveling video. Today we're going to be doing a pre-update tier list. Now this will be my first tier list actually for solo leveling Arise, and I hope this tier list will help certain players out there to build specific characters and choose which characters they should be focusing on, right? So without further ado, let's jump into this, right? So first up, a quick about the tier list note. So this tier list generally rates characters based on the performance across all PvE content, right? So I try to average on general how they perform against bosses and on normal stages. Also, please only compare characters within their element, right? It doesn't make sense comparing someone like I don't know, out of an element with another element characters, right? Generally speaking, solo leveling Arise gives a massive bonus to damage when you counter the enemy element. Hence, you deal a huge amount, which is 150% more damage if you counter the enemy element. And the opposite is also true. If you attack enemies who counter your character element, you will only deal 50% damage, and you will also take increased amounts of damage, right? Now, the criteria I've chosen here are SSR characters are rated at 0 dupes with their EX weapon obtained. That is the criteria I've chosen. As for SR characters, I've chosen a minimum rated criteria of 3 dupes, since that is when mostly a specific skill or ability gets unlocked, right? Now, there are also specific characters which are high investment characters, right? And I've marked them with a $sign in my footnotes, but I'm going to be talking through them in this video, right? So their power is generally massively increased when they hit past A3. Like when they go up to A5, it basically allows them to actually jump up to SS tier together with Cha, right? So we're talking probably someone like Alicia, maybe. You will see, you will find out in a moment, right? So that's about the tier list. As for the ratings, how they are basically designed, it would be actually pretty self-explanatory. S plus, obviously the best of the best. S, powerful characters are slightly inferior to S plus. A, strong characters that perform well but still have a bit of more tweak, or they need a bit of more work to shine in comparison. B are average characters that have big flaws and only work as some niche replacements when you don't have anything else or better. C, below average characters that are struggling to find their place in the meta. And D, very much trash. So now that we have that out the way, let's review my tier list. Right, so here we are, starting with SS tier. I think it comes to no surprise, it's going to be Cha Hae-in. She is a crit stacking monster damage dealer. Damage output is crazy, beating probably any other damage dealer in the game, right? She can also prevent the enemies from healing themselves, which is a great utility to possess in specific battles, right? So Cha Hae-in, definitely SS plus up there. S plus, definitely best breaker in the game, Baek Yeon-ho in the light elemental. He is definitely hands down the best breaker in the game. For any boss where you need to be where it needs to be armor broken, he should almost always be picked. I don't see any other better pick than him. All of his skills, from his basic attack skills to his support skills, all of them inflict break. As his whole kit even scales of defense, you can actually make him a very survivable character. Like, it won't be easy to kill him, and his damage is still good enough considering how quickly he actually breaks. And generally speaking, he's actually like a jack of all trades. Like, he can literally do anything. He can act as a sub DPS, as a breaker. Very, very solid character, as a tank defense character, and he can be also used as a debuffer. So definitely up there. S plus, we're going to be talking next Min Byung-gu. He's probably the best support in the game, applying debuffs to the enemies while also being able to heal and buff his allies. Now, his healing on its own is not necessarily that good, but with everything else that he can provide, he's actually an amazing option to run on most teams. Like, he literally works on any team. As for the dark element, Baekhyun-woo Silvermane definitely is one of the strongest boss killers in the game due to the combination of massive bleed damage, and he can dish out the ability to become stronger as his HP decreases, which is for some maybe daunting, but for most actually a very huge bonus since he actually increases the damage. He is generally speaking a true berserker who focuses on his basic attacks and who can self-buff himself decently well on top of all the bonuses he gains the closer to the death he is. Like, literally, when his HP falls, he gets even crazy amounts of huge damage buffs. Now, generally speaking, for people who can't dodge effectively, he's probably a dangerous pick. But overall, he is one of the best characters you want to be bringing against bosses. His A1 will actually allow him to become an utter beast, giving him that extra damage that it pushes him to extreme heights, which is why I've placed him on S+. Libora, again, in the darkness element, she is a crazy, amazing off-field support DPS. Like, she is the best off-field support DPS, actually speaking, because she's able to actually deal great amounts of damage while others are on the field and apply damage increase debuffs to the enemy at the same time. Like, dark units will actually definitely greatly benefit with her in the party, since she buffers dark damage in her field and actually cleanses debuff. An effect that is very strong against bosses such as the Arcanate boss, for example, right? With the ability to drastically slow your movement and attack speed. In terms of fire, definitely the best fire DPS in the game, and one of the best DPS overall is Choi Jong-in. No questions asked. He applies an amazing debuff on entry, and with his burn and skill reset, when his ultimate, he dishes out insane damage. Now, his inability to actually crit may seem for some people like a weakness, but actually fully investing in attack lets his damage actually explode due to his burns. Now, if you want to be hunting after his dupes, you always want to be going for A1, because his A1 will actually allow his damage to exponentially increase, generally, by changing his basic skill to a crater with a better range and triple amounts of damage. So why not work on him? Next up, Emma. Emma is, well, what can I say? She actually does it all, like from supporting to breaking to dealing damage. Yeah, she's up there. I would actually put her even in S. But at 0 dupes with her AX weapon, she's definitely an S+. However, if you have her at A5, I would actually consider making her an SS character. But maybe I will update this tier list in future again. Now, her AoE potential is massive, and with all of her skills having break effect, she's actually a unit which is amazing in most scenarios. She deserves actually a top tier support for fire DPS that is able to increase fire damage, defense penetration for the team, and while doing all of this, she's also applying burns on top of them. Like, she's dealing DOT damage on top of it. Now, definitely one of the best characters to choose and build. Alicia, obviously fan favorite for a lot of people. Yeah, she is actually one of those high investment characters, right? Because at A0 with her EX weapon, she's not as good as Cha-Hae at A0 with her EX weapon. However, if you have her at A5, she becomes a true monster. With her EX weapon, she is definitely on SS tier if she is at A5. At A0, she is slightly worse, and more than that, she's not really a DPS, because at A0 she's more of a sub DPS slash support, more or less, to COG Wu, right? But if you have at A5, you can run her as a main DPS solo T10 Cerberus without any issues. COG Wu, same story again. She's again like a, yeah, what can I say? At A0, she's already crazy. At A5, again, she's also what I classify as high investment characters. Like, she's already powerful, bruiser, and breaker at A0. But generally speaking, if you look at her dupes, every single dupe increases her overall damage in a significant way. Like, she gets extra damage, more break, more MP regen, more HP, and she gets 32% skill damage plus crit rate to her skills and ultimate at A5, like literally. And if you have a weapon maxed, it will further increase her critical damage by 140% when fully stacked. Like, yo, that is actually crazy. And that's why I'm saying she is definitely one of those characters who needs to be at SS if she is at A5. Huang Dong-Su, yeah, I mean, he's a unit with like a dormant potential, I would just say. Like he's literally only there for specific bosses, right? With the ability to remove armor, he will be a good force to be reckoned with in terms of being a breaker. But I mean, yeah, yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of him, but I had to place him there because generally speaking, his damage is very good even without having a ability to fully use his kit. That's like one of his drawbacks as well. And having the ability to increase his defense, he will rather be like a tank sustaining character while dishing out enough damage to make him a solid unit. So overall, I'd still definitely place him at S+, and he's not a high investment character. So placing him at SS would probably never happen. Now, if you look at S, Jack of all trades, Yo Jin-ho, he's definitely best free-to-play character in the game. I don't think I have to say anything else to this. Kang Tae-shik, he's probably very straightforward and very strong DPS, and he's actually, in combination with specific other characters, very good support DOT team for your main character. Now, Lim Tae-gyu, he's actually... The thing about him is, right, he has the highest attack percentage ultimate in the game, like no jokes. But the only thing is he needs to be able to manage to hit all of his 8 shots when his ultimate attacks. That's the drawback. If you can't do it, he's not really as strong. But again, as I said, if you manage to hit all of his hits, he will be dishing out even more damage than Cha Hae-in, like literally. Obviously, if we're talking about no crit and no crit damage scaling, right? I'm talking pure attack percentage ultimate damage, right? Now, Nam Chae-young, she is actually one of my favorite characters, and I use her actually on my auto team with Alicia, Siojiwoo, and her against Cerberus, right? And she's actually very nice. She actually freezes, she can break, she can do actually everything what a good character needs to do. So I would have maybe in future, depending on how the game develops, probably move her up to S+, but we will see. We will see. In terms of S characters, SR characters, she's one of the best in the game. Park Hae-jin, again, same thing with Nam Chae-young. She's actually phenomenal in unit. She's offers support. She increases ultimate damage, cleanses debuffs. At A3, she's able to give the party members a lot of power gauge increase, which is actually why she's crazy. If you have her A5, she will actually start the fight with her ultimate already fully loaded, like she's ready to go. And then we get to Woo Jin-chul. I mean, his damage output is actually the worst of all SSR characters, but he makes actually up for it with a lot of mobility. Like he scales with defense, which is why he's actually also like a tanky kind of character. And he actually focuses on dodging, right? That's the main premise around the character. He causes some issues with finding a good set for him, which is a drawback. And currently there is not really a set which bonuses or a set bonus that favor him actually or favor defense scaling characters. But we will see. Maybe there will be an update in future with better sets. Now, if you go down to A, yeah, we have Kim Chul. I mean, he's a great utility. He offers great utility in general. Like he can stun for 3 to 5 seconds. That's probably his biggest bonus. Apart from that, he's actually a very good tank. Overall, a solid character. Hwang Dong-suk, I mean, he's an alright damage dealer. Like he can actually deal good amounts of damage while also being able to break. Now he's a breaker / damage dealer. He's also having the ability to stun characters and he increase his own HP, which is actually good because he can actually also self-heal with when he has his A3, and he applies a shield to himself, further increases his tankiness, and also groups the enemy's virus charge. Like he can actually group them together. He's actually one of those characters you can quickly switch in to group a bunch of enemies together when you fight like in a story mode and you have like a bunch of enemies, and then swap out to another character who deals damage to the entire section. Ana Ruiz, in terms of war damage, she's also up there. I actually like her. I have her at A8. Crazy. She's actually a decent war option. Definitely with some breaking potential. Obviously, Nam Chae Young is still better, but the thing about her is she also inflicts poison and some debuffs. Now, poison and DOT generally cannot be afflicted for some bosses, which is a drawback, right? But generally speaking, very solid character. Right, then let's jump over to B. Now, when we look at B, we're starting off with Yo Hyo Hwan. I think I'm pronouncing that name right. I'm hoping, anyways. Now, in terms of light characters, yeah, his damage is nothing crazy. Like, he's able to actually do a bit more damage when attacking a burnt target, generally, but the overall range of his attacks is nothing special as well. So he's more or less of a lackluster. Song Cheol, same thing again. He's a more or less a DOT character, right? And can actually make good work of his burn, of him inflicting burn on other enemies, right? And again, in combination with the right characters, is actually a good DOT team support for your main character. Han Song Yi, yeah, I mean, damage, generally speaking, is actually quite good, right, for an SR character, but there are many better water options instead of her. The thing about her, she can actually shield based on her own attack at A1, and her upgrades actually provide some nice free stats, like she actually gets an attack increase, crit rate, and crit damage increase. She's actually fun to play, not gonna lie, but yeah, she just lacks that extra punch, like to make a bigger impact. Maybe if she gets a buff in future, who knows? Like she might jump up there. But apart from that, she's nice to play, like very fun, but just lacks a damage output. Lee Jo-hee is probably the character which every single player has a A10 by now. Like the game literally gives you her free almost any instance. I mean, she's a pure healing character. Like nothing else she can do. Actually, she's only there to heal. And even that, she's not really doing too great. Now there is only one game mode in the game where she's actually useful. Apart from that, you can actually throw her in a trash, I would rather say. Now, barriers also allow for supers, right? So alongside extra healing. Now she's not really giving you that. She's only healing, which is why you always want to choose a shielder instead of her. Now she does have an attack increase for the team, which is positive, but it's only 3%, so it's not really something worthy talking about. Even at A3, like her A3 will actually allow for much quicker mana recovery, like MP recovery for the team, which is in that case will make her a more desirable character for longer fight. Again, as I'm saying, she's useful for one specific game mode where you fight the big dragon. Apart from that, I wouldn't recommend using her. Park Beom-sik, if I'm pronouncing that name right, he's actually a ranged character. He's got a good range. I must say, probably one of the best ranges in the game. Now his base HP is actually low, and he can actually do a good amount of damage. Multiple airbornes and knockdowns he can actually apply are alright, but nothing to really call home about. Now his charge time on his skill can actually be considered dangerous because it's basically taking very long and he's not a very agile character. Now generally speaking, he's not really a useless character. He can actually be good for specific instances, but apart from that, would never choose him first. And last but not least, we have on C the Kim Sang-sik. Now he's probably the most useless character in a game. Very trash skill set, overall mediocre damage. The range of his attacks are actually very undesirable. His only bonus, if you're going to be talking about pros, is actually can be is his potential to actually do break damage. But that's about it, and there is way more other characters who can do actually better than that. and while they also provide other things. And yeah, that's my tier list, guys. So I hope you find this helpful for choosing the right characters to build. As soon as the update dropped and the new characters are out and I was able to do some testing, I will be updating the tier list. Maybe there is also some changes in terms of buffs to specific characters or nerfs. I will keep you guys updated. As always, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.